Pay attention to Biba Henry, 46 years old, dancing under the twinkling lights in a London park with her 27-year-old sister, Nicole Smallman, on a warm birthday evening. They have less than 2 hours to live because Daniel Hussein, 19, a self-proclaimed psychic entity who has made a dark pact with a shadowy force, is watching from the shadows today. Biba planned to celebrate her birthday with loved ones. Today, Daniel intended to claim his first 2 targets in exchange for lottery winnings and supernatural powers. This is the story of a night that exposed the depths of darkness in humanity and the horrific betrayal of the police force toward the deceased. Friday, June 5th, 2020. Summer was finally arriving in England, though temperatures only reached 16 degrees Celsius. The sun blazed in a cloudless sky, promising the kind of evening that makes you forget about pandemics and lockdowns and remember what living feels like. Biba's birthday was approaching, and despite COVID-19 restrictions limiting gatherings, the sisters planned something special. A small picnic in Bryant Country Park with close friends. Nothing extravagant, just food, drinks, and the people they loved most. Surveillance cameras captured them that afternoon, buying supplies at a convenience store in Kingsbury. They were laughing, planning, excited. They drove to the park in Biba's purple Audi, arriving at 6:38 p.m. 8 friends total would join them that evening. Photos show Biba opening birthday cards while Nicole beamed beside her, both women smiling ear to ear. Maybe it was the sunshine. Maybe the birthday celebration. Maybe just a brief return to normalcy during those strange pandemic months. But these 2 women were undeniably in their element, living in the moment, celebrating life itself in each other's company. As sunset painted the London sky, temperatures dropped and energy levels dipped. Friends began leaving at different intervals throughout the evening. Around midnight, the final group departed, including Nicole's boyfriend Adam. But Biba and Nicole weren't quite finished. They wanted to stay a bit longer, to dance in the dark with fairy lights, to clean up their picnic supplies, to squeeze every last drop from this perfect day. Adam texted Nicole later asking how things were going. She replied, "I'm dancing in a field." Setting their phone on a tripod, the sisters began swinging chains of fairy lights into the night sky. Nicole held the battery pack while Biba danced, their silhouettes captured in one final photograph at 1 a.m. After this text message and this photograph, Nicole and Biba would fall silent forever. Neither sister returned to their apartment that night. By morning, Adam started worrying. Nicole hadn't responded to his messages. He couldn't reach Biba either. Nicole was passionate about animals and reptiles, and Adam had bought her a bearded dragon she adored. She never missed feeding time. She hadn't returned home to feed him or asked anyone else to do it. This was wrong. This was very wrong. Adam asked their housemates if the sisters had come home overnight. No. He tried tracing Nicole's mobile phone using Find My Friends. Nothing came up. He called everyone who might know their whereabouts. Dead ends everywhere. It seemed as if 2 women had simply vanished from a public park in one of the world's most surveilled cities. Adam contacted police to file missing persons reports for both sisters. But authorities reacted with frustrating indifference. They didn't seem to grasp the urgency. These weren't flighty teenagers who might run off on a whim. These were responsible adult women with jobs, commitments, loved ones. Something terrible had happened. Adam reached out to their mother, Mina. Together, they built a small task force, tracking down mutual friends on Facebook, organizing search parties, doing what police should have been doing. But as the sun set Saturday, nearly 24 hours since the sisters disappeared, they were no closer to finding answers. Sunday morning arrived with police still moving sluggishly. Frustrated by the lack of help from authorities, Adam gathered his parents and a friend named Nina to retrace the sisters' footsteps through Bryant Country Park. They found Biba's sunglasses first. She never went anywhere without them. While Nina took the sunglasses to police as evidence, Adam and his father continued searching. His father found a weapon. Then Adam found something infinitely worse. Pushing through a row of unkempt bushes, he discovered the remains of his girlfriend and her sister. They were unresponsive, intertwined, eyes open but still. Fatal injuries covered their bodies. Adam dropped to his knees and screamed. His father found him moments later, collapsing beside the horror. Adam had to call Mina. He had to tell a mother that both her daughters, the Spitfire and the Flower Girl, were gone. Mina responded exactly as Adam had, her world shattering in real time. She had lost 2 of her 3 daughters overnight to violence neither could comprehend. Police finally responded with urgency after learning about the discovery, arriving shortly after 1 p.m. to secure the perimeter and search for evidence. But this response was too late. The world had already lost Biba, Henry, and Nicole Smallman, and the person who would discover their harmed bodies wasn't a trained professional prepared for such trauma, but Nicole's own boyfriend, a young man whose life would never be the same. As the long road of grief began for family and friends, officers found a stained cushion, the same one visible in picnic photos from just 2 days earlier, now evidence in a criminal investigation. They recovered a bag containing picnic blankets. At the bottom of a pond, they discovered Biba's mobile phone and bank cards. Bryant Country Park remained shut. Flowers and bouquets appeared at several entrances, expressions of condolence and sorrow for 2 women who deserved so much more than this ending. The next question seemed impossible to answer. Who was capable of such darkness? Who took the lives of these 2 women who were simply celebrating life, and why? Unfortunately, before investigators could even begin answering these questions, further pain would be inflicted on grieving relatives and friends. 2 police officers assigned to protect the crime scene did something so unconscionable, so fundamentally disgusting, that it would ignite fresh anger and cause additional trauma to a family already experiencing unimaginable grief. PC Denise Joffer and PC Jamie Lewis took selfies in front of Nicole's and Biba's remains. They photographed the victims like tourists at a landmark, treating human beings, daughters, sisters, beloved friends, as props for their amusement. Then these officers leaked the photos to a personal WhatsApp group containing over 40 members and shared them with additional friends, referring to Biba and Nicole as deceased subjects in their callous messages. The violation was staggering. These were officers sworn to protect and serve, entrusted with guarding a crime scene, and they turned it into disturbing entertainment. Mina Smallman would later refer to Jaffer and Lewis as Despicable 1 and Despicable 2, demanding that the Metropolitan Police drill down and get rid of the rot once and for all. Both officers were suspended immediately, but the damage to the family and public trust was already done. While police misconduct made headlines, forensic investigators were hard at work following the evidence. They had a crucial lead from the beginning. During the attack, at least one of the sisters had fought back desperately, trying to protect herself and her sister. Nicole's hands were covered in defensive injuries, most likely from attempting to grab the weapon. This same object, retrieved at the crime scene, revealed not only the victim's DNA, but traces from a third unidentified individual. The perpetrator had been injured during the attack. Several days later, DNA analysis came back with results. The sample partially matched a DNA profile already in the database. While this person's profile wasn't a complete match, it meant they were most likely related to the suspect. Police began investigating all possible members of this family. Then came a compelling discovery through surveillance footage from a nearby supermarket. At 3:48 p.m. on June 3rd, 2020, cameras captured a man walking into an Asda supermarket, purchasing drinks, candles, a set of kitchen tools, and gum. The kitchen tool set matched the weapon found at the crime scene. The purchase was made using a bank card with the same surname as the partial DNA profile. The cardholder's address was less than 1 mile from Bryant Country Park. Police were very interested in this young man. His name was Daniel Hussein. On paper, Daniel Hussein was just another teenager from Southeast London. Beneath that surface lurked something far darker. From October 2017 through May 2018, Daniel had been monitored by the Prevent Strategy, a home office department tracking individuals at risk of becoming extremists. He was 15 when authorities caught him accessing far-right extremist material on a computer at his secondary school. But Daniel's interests extended beyond political extremism into occult beliefs. He was a devoted follower of a YouTuber named Coetting, a member of the Dark Order of Nine Angles who had been previously convicted on drug and weapon offenses. Coetting's videos and websites included instructions for ritualistic acts, instructions that would prove hauntingly similar to Daniel's own actions. Daniel was active on occult forums where he claimed to be a psychic entity and asked for advice about supernatural pacts. While the vast majority of occultists are not violent, Daniel Hussein represented a dangerous minority drawn to violence and extremism, like Coedding and Pazuzu Algarad before him. By late June 2020, police believed they had enough evidence to arrest Daniel Hussein on suspicion of the crimes. In the early hours of July 1st, officers equipped with tactical gear arrived at Hussein's mother's address in Blackheath. Body cam footage captured the arrest. "That's him! That's him!" an officer shouted as Daniel emerged from the residence.
Mate, you're under arrest. Come out. Come out the address. Keep walking towards me. Keep walking towards me. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Hands on your head. Stay where you are. Face me. Hands on your head. Stay where you are. You're under arrest, all right?
Officers arrested him swiftly before taking him to Wandsworth Police Station for questioning. During the booking process, officers noticed injuries on Daniel's fingers.
Do you have any injuries?
Yeah.
The wrists from the cuffs?
No.
Oh. How did that happen?
Oh, is this the interview?
No, that's a question. The injuries on your fingers. What happened there?
What happened there? Daniel wouldn't answer, but he knew. In that moment, you can see it in his face.
I'm really shocked, man, to be honest. I'm really confused and scared. I don't know.
He realizes the weight of the situation. Game over. Officers seized both his mother's and father's properties, discovering a mountain of disturbing and incriminating evidence. In his bedroom at his mother's home, they found esoteric symbols covering the walls and door. Then they found the letter. Addressed to King Lucifuge, the letter outlined a dark pact. According to lore, Lucifuge is an entity in charge of the underworld's government by order of the Dark Lord himself. Daniel had written him the following agreement. For the mighty King Lucifuge, for you I will perform a minimum of 6 offerings every 6 months for as long as I am free and physically capable. I will target only women, build a temple for you, and do everything that I have promised. For me, I will win the Mega Millions super jackpot and receive fruitful rewards in return for the future offerings that I make to you. The rewards could consist of wealth and power. I will never be suspected of any crimes by the police, and also that the police will never know of any crimes that I have done and that I will do. He had signed his name in his own crimson fluid. Investigators also found 3 lottery tickets in his bedroom, purchased just before Biba and Nicole were taken. He was serious about his dark bargain. Additional CCTV footage revealed Daniel's movements before and after the attack. Bank statements showed he had ordered a full face mask and shovel from Amazon on June 4th, the day after purchasing the blades. On the night of the incident, a surveillance camera next to Daniel's house captured him leaving home at 7:42 p.m. Another camera recorded him walking toward the park 1 minute later. 10 minutes after that, he appeared at a bus stop even closer to Friant Country Park. Daniel returned home several hours later at 3:08 a.m., only 2 hours after Nicole and Biba had been killed. He wasn't wearing trousers and appeared to be concealing a bandaged hand in his jumper, perhaps because he had injured himself during the attack when Nicole fought back. At around 6 p.m. that same day, Daniel attended Northwick Park Hospital requesting treatment for cuts to his right hand. When asked how he received the injuries, he told one doctor he was mugged and another doctor he was attacked by a group of boys. 2 different lies for 2 different medical professionals. On June 16th, Daniel called his bank requesting a new card, claiming he had lost it weeks prior and noticed several unrecognized transactions. This lie unraveled quickly when officers realized he was using that same card in the ASDA footage purchasing the weapon. Medical results confirmed both women died from sharp force trauma. Medical examiners believed Biba passed first, taken by surprise with no chance to defend herself. Nicole gallantly fought back to save her sister and herself, but was overpowered. She suffered over 40 injuries before succumbing to her wounds. Investigators believe the last photograph of the sisters, the selfie taken at 1 a.m. showing them dancing with fairy lights, was captured exactly when Daniel was approaching them. Their attention was likely focused on him in that moment, captured forever in a photograph that would become evidence in his criminal trial. Following his arrest on 2 counts of homicide, Daniel pleaded not guilty at the Old Bailey on March 11, 2021. His trial began on June 9th that same year. His defense attempted to blame his actions on his diagnosis of autistic spectrum disorder, but prosecutors presented the overwhelming evidence of premeditation. The dark pact, the weapon purchase, the stalking, the ritualistic elements. On July 6th, Daniel was convicted of both crimes. English law prohibits judges from imposing full life sentences on individuals below 21 years old. Daniel received a life sentence with a minimum of 35 years in prison before being reconsidered for release, meaning he could potentially walk free in the year 2055. Following independent reviews of his online content, Coding was eventually banned from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for harmful content that influenced Daniel to harm innocent women. The police officers who took selfies with the victims' remains, Dennis Joffer and Jamie Lewis, pleaded guilty to misconduct. They admitted taking a total of 6 photographs before referring to Biba and Nicole as disparaging terms in a group chat with over 40 members. This violation, this fundamental betrayal of trust and basic human decency, became its own scandal within the larger tragedy. Mina Smallman, speaking publicly after their conviction, demanded accountability.
This is an unbelievable day for us, but it's the first, and there are 2 more battles to go. But today we remember our girls as the wonderful, strong women they were. And we hope that some good will come out of this horrible story. Thank you.
Dennis and Jamie would be sentenced at a later date, their careers destroyed, their names forever associated with unforgivable cruelty toward grieving families and deceased women who deserve protection and dignity even in death. Following their deaths, a vigil honoring Nicole's and Biba's memory was organized in Friant Country Park, taking place in the exact spot where the sisters spent their last evening alive. Candles were lit as loved ones recalled memories and expressed how their absence had left irreparable holes in countless lives. Learning about this case, it becomes clear that Biba and Nicole were 2 young women with nurturing personalities and generous spirits. Even through their occupations, social work, and photography, they gave care and creativity back to the world. It's a tragedy they met their deaths doing something they loved. Spending time with friends, sharing food and drinks in a park underneath a sunset, living in the moment and celebrating life itself. With dark irony, their way of living matched the quote printed on their picnic cushion, the one that became crucial evidence. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Daniel's written agreement with his entity reveals his true intentions: to take 6 women every 6 months. Biba and Nicole were meant to be just the beginning. It's fortunate he was caught so quickly. London could have otherwise seen more death, more tragedy, possibly a serial offender operating under the delusion that supernatural forces protected him from consequences. Although investigators did excellent work catching him quickly once the remains were discovered, it remains inexcusable how long they took to initiate serious investigations after the sisters' disappearance. Adam reported them missing. He expressed urgent concern. He explained this was completely out of character, but police didn't treat the case with appropriate seriousness until he discovered their bodies himself, forcing him to carry trauma no loved one should ever endure. The case also exposed 2 distinct failures within the Metropolitan Police: the initial sluggish response to missing persons reports, and the grotesque misconduct of officers who photographed victims like trophies and shared them as dark jokes. These failures compounded the family's suffering, turning tragedy into a multi-layered nightmare of loss, violation, and institutional betrayal. Through it all, Mina Smallman has shown remarkable strength and resilience. She lost 2 of her 3 daughters to senseless violence. She learned that police officers tasked with protecting the crime scene instead disrespected her daughter's remains through photographs and cruel jokes. She endured a trial where her daughter's final moments were dissected and displayed. Yet she continues advocating for change, demanding accountability, ensuring that Biba and Nicole's deaths might somehow lead to meaningful reform. Her strength inspires even as her loss devastates. She calls for the Metropolitan Police to drill down and get rid of the rot once and for all, refusing to let her daughters become just another statistic, another case file, another tragic story forgotten by institutions that failed them. Do you think Daniel Hussein's sentence was too lenient? Should someone who planned ritualistic crimes as part of a dark pact be eligible for release after 35 years? Should the police have done more when Adam first reported the sisters missing? How should institutions handle officers who commit violations as egregious as photographing and mocking victims? These questions don't have easy answers, but they demand honest examination. Biba, Henry, and Nicole Smallman deserved better from the system meant to protect them. They deserved officers who took their disappearance seriously. They deserve professionals who treated their deaths with dignity. They deserve justice that feels proportional to the act that took their lives. What they got instead was a 19-year-old who believed dark entities would grant him lottery winnings in exchange for harming women. What they got was police indifference followed by police cruelty. What they got was a system that failed them at nearly every turn. But what they also got was a mother who refuses to let their memory fade. Friends who organized vigils and demanded justice. A boyfriend who searched when authorities wouldn't. A community that mourned and remembered and insisted these two women mattered. Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman didn't deserve what happened to them. No one does. But their story reminds us that evil doesn't only exist in supernatural pacts or occult rituals. It exists in the minds of those who convince themselves that other human beings are disposable. It exists in systems that don't take missing women seriously. It exists in those who would photograph tragedy and laugh about it. It also reminds us that light exists too, in mothers who transform grief into advocacy, in communities that refuse to forget, in the memory of two women who, despite everything, spent their last evening dancing. They were the Spitfire and the Flower Girl, two different souls who complemented each other perfectly. They deserved decades more of birthdays and celebrations and ordinary days. They deserved to grow old together, to continue being yin and yang, to keep spreading the care and creativity and love they brought to this world. Instead, they became victims of a perpetrator who thought dark forces would make him rich. And in the cruelest irony imaginable, their final photograph, taken moments before the attack, shows exactly what Daniel Hussein tried to destroy, but never could. Joy, love, sisterhood, and the unbreakable bond between two women who refused to stop dancing, even when the rain became a storm. This is what we must remember. Not the horror of how they died, but the beauty of how they lived. Not the darkness that took them, but the love they left behind. Not the failures of those who should have protected them, but the strength of those who continue fighting for justice in their names. Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman. Say their names, remember their light, and demand better from the systems that failed them so that other sisters might keep dancing under fairy lights without fear of the darkness watching from the trees.